Comrades, it is Tuesday, and you are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans. The show is Good Morning Comrade. You can check us out online right now at WHIVFM.org/listen. You can also check us out on the WHIV website, WHIV.org, WHIVFM.org/good-morning-comrade. Good morning, comrades. How are y'all?
Hello.
I'm okay. It's been a week. It's always a week.
It's always been a week.
It's always
every week. It's been a week, and we record at night, so it's been like a lot of the times we're just sort of like at the end of it. We've had it.
Yeah, we've had a lot of reflecting on our days, and are feeling.
The last thing I want to do at the end of the day is reflect on it. I want to just I want to not feel the pain anymore.
I know. Oh, it's the what is it today? The 3rd of the month. So,
wake up. It's the 3rd of the month.
No, but seriously, y'all, it's like when you're in housing, the 1st through the 3rd is like...
What is housing?
Go ahead and describe what's going on here.
I work for permanent supportive housing, and so I essentially, like, my job is to keep my clients housed, so, like, whatever.
Yeah. That's
whatever
important.
that means to, like,
they're staying in a
them.
place and they have somewhere to live. That's
yeah, no, it's super important. Thanks, pat myself on the back. But yeah, no, the 1st through the 3rd is, like, nightmare scenario, because you're just, like, trying to make sure everyone pays their rent, and like usually only like a quarter of people pay their rent, and then you have to like figure out why the rest aren't, and then like cajole them to do it.
Maybe it's the landlord's fault more than anything. I don't know.
Landlords, like rampant substance use and mental illness, and the fact that disability checks are only $771.
That is pathetic.
Wow.
Check. So yeah, so if I'm a little lower energy than normal.
You don't seem low
energy
to me.
Because I got those third of the month blues.
Third of the month blues.
That's what I do.
So every year in October at my job, we have to do like performance review or whatever.
Every month?
No, every year.
Oh, every year. Okay.
And so
I misheard you.
it's such like a, I don't know, some people at my work listen to this, and honestly, I don't care. I guess spread this around, get this to who it needs to go to. So it's such like a trap. Like I have to evaluate myself, and then you get to evaluate me. It's such like a goofy Donald Trump art of the deal like negotiation tactic. It's so ridiculous.
I actually have to do that too. I just got an email about it.
Yeah, it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody should ever have to do that. It's terrible.
I don't know. That's like a gender difference though, because I feel like for guys it's like, oh, I don't want to rate myself too high because it's gonna sound. I'm like, oh man, if I rate myself too low, but this is how I feel. But I don't want to get fired, but I know I could be doing better.
But here's what you need to understand. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I remember last year I rated myself too low, and they were like, oh, you're so much better than what you think. I'm like, yeah, okay, great. And it wasn't some like power move I was trying to pull off, because there's a whole like section in the back that's like, what can we do to help you succeed? And like I'm supposed to write this essay, and I just honestly want to put, to help you reach your goals. I was like, I honestly want to write, because of my soul-crushing anxiety, my goal is for you not to talk to me ever. Unless somebody's dying, unless somebody's bleeding out, not breathing, something's on fire. Like, if you could just don't even acknowledge my existence. Like, if you want to just communicate with me in Post-it notes and just leave Post-it notes while I find them so I don't have to have a conversation, and it's not directed at the boss, because it's not even directed at you. It's just, I just don't want to talk to people in any capacity that do not have like a vested interest in my well-being. I know that feels very selfish, but that's how my anxiety
selfish at all.
I don't know. I feel like if you were a white dude in Silicon Valley, like you definitely have a startup there. Just like, it's like Post-it notes. It's like, are you tired of talking to your employees? That's just like Post-it notes.
Well, that's the thing. That's what like Slack is supposed to be. And anybody who doesn't know what Slack is,
it's the worst website in the world.
It stresses me out so much.
It's worse than Facebook and Twitter.
It's a messaging. It's so you sign up for, it's like that GoToMeeting, or if you have meetings at work, it's supposed to be like you can have it mobile on the go, and instead of having face-to-face meetings, everybody can just meet in a virtual space, and they could, get the important thing across without wasting everybody's time. But corporations don't want to do that. What they want to do, their idea is like, oh, what a great idea just to keep track of everybody and have 24-hour access to you.
Memos all the time, baby.
And on top of that, we'll have our face-to-face meetings, which completely waste your time.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The email that could have been a Slack. The meeting that could have been an email that could have been on Slack.
That's 90% of like we have a at my job we have a Tuesday face-to-face meeting, which I don't go because I have a standing mental health appointment. Therapist.
And also, that's your day off.
Well, it's funny how those things like coincide. Like, yeah, my day
Weird.
off before I get to like
how'd that
try to take care of my
fall
mental
into
health.
place like that? That's beautiful.
I know it's because I planned it like that, and I was
that's
I
how
was
it
like,
works.
I remember when I got hired, I was like, I could come to the I remember at first I was like, hey, have y'all heard of Slack? Like, we could do this remotely, and they're like. And a couple of like older people were like, "Nah, I don't want them to have access to me like this." I was like, "That makes a lot of sense. Like, I'm such a go-getter, but I'm just trying. I just want to be informed."
Yeah.
And now it's just like I never want to come to one of these face-to-face meetings. Every time I come in on Wednesday and people complain to me about the meeting because I wasn't there, they complain to me like how petty it was, and how like nothing got accomplished. It was just a petty fest. And then you have to but we have a binder that we have to fill out with the important minutes of the meeting. So it's like, what is even it's like it's an analog Slack. So why aren't we just doing this? Why aren't we just y'all already know what the important points you want to get across. So just disseminate that through work email. Stop making people come in for this. I mean,
it's
How
another
could your
thing.
bosses truly express their disappointment in your output?
Oh God.
If it's not face to face.
That goes to something. It's not just, I know I'm harping on my job, but I just want to be very clear. That's like a corporate thing. It's not even about, they want you to have buy-in. I already know.
The buy-in's a lie.
They want me to, when we have this.
A lie-in.
We have this, whatchamacallit. We have this, I can already tell you how this evaluation is going to go. They're going to be like, oh, Robert, you do a really good job. I just don't feel like you're invested here. And then from the cockles of my soul, I'm going to scream out, you're right. I'm not. And here's why. But then we don't do that because we all need to work to try not to be homeless. So we were like, oh yeah, I'll do better at that. And I'm like, I want to be like, one, no, I don't want to have buy-in because I don't want to be emotionally attached because these are the reasons. And two, my anxiety won't let me. It just won't let. I physically cannot do that for you.
So I did have buy-in at one of my jobs, and I would voice.
It was a safe space to admit that.
I would voice my feelings about what they could do better to assist me in my position. That was, in fact, in my boss's email signature, but apparently was private.
Sometimes it'd be like that. Sometimes it do be like that.
But it was fine because then a bunch of my colleagues were implicated in some sort of a lawsuit at the jail, and I was like, oh, dodged that bullet. So thumbs up for me. And my just mouthy ways, just putting my nose where it doesn't belong.
Yeah. And now here we are on the radio talking, running our mouth.
Yeah.
I was mouthy yesterday. I was mouthy at the school board meeting.
Tell us about that.
So there was this reading. Oh, why are you pointing at my adorable dog when I'm trying to talk my story? Am I boring you already, Mr. Johnson?
Okay, so we've been switching off on
Weekly
recording locations.
Yeah.
The bad dog is Johnny. That's ours.
Oh, come
That's
on.
Robert's and my dog. And
He's an
he's
adorable
very
three-legged
adorable
boy.
and great, but he's way too smart and he barks a lot. Jeff's dogs are small little angels. And they are sleeping.
You don't live with them.
Oh my God, they are sleeping like the cutest way I've ever seen. And they are both wearing super festive Halloween bow ties. And it's like the cutest thing I've ever seen.
The cat too.
The cat is wearing a little
The
bow tie.
orange cat is wearing an orange flannel.
Has bit me like
collar
4
with the top.
times.
Yeah, he's
but
an ass.
it's very sweet and curled up in a bed right now. And I'm sorry. I know we have to talk about sad things, but first I wanted to
No, animals are good.
No, we had to talk about the
animals.
animals before we talk about why you got fired up.
Oh, I was very fired up.
Because it's a bad thing, but then the animals are good things.
Well, it's
so
good.
It's like,
So there is a very good part to this story. And the good part of the story is that, so I guess I'm going to start with the beginning of the story instead of doing the Quentin Tarantino thing, like we're trying to not do, because you hate Quentin Tarantino so much.
I do. I hate
Anyway, so last night, I'm talking about Wednesday the 2nd. We're recording on Thursday the 3rd. Pop open that coffee.
It's been a long day.
It has been a long day. But anyway, Wednesday the 2nd was the Jefferson Parish School Board meeting, which is a place where I work. And one of the school board members put forward one of these motions that was to put together a report that would, look for various things for the Jefferson Parish School Board, administration to look for. That would include things like consolidation of schools, and that means essentially closing schools and making them like kindergarten through 8 schools. And another thing that was mentioned on there was school choice. That was explicitly mentioned on here. And so probably about me and about the president of Jefferson Federation of Teachers, my friend Kessler, and about a half dozen other teachers went up there, and we sort of like said, well, we know what's going on. This is something that I've already been shaking things up like constantly for the past 2 years, and it's having a huge impact on our kids, having a huge impact on us. It's stressing us out and all these horrible things. And I sort of like went up there and I was extremely provocative, and I drew the battle lines, and it was like, yeah, where you come down on, like I said, basically, we know what's going on. We know what school choice means, because school choice means what to y'all? What does school choice mean?
It means that you have a choice. Choice is always good. I'm a feminist, so I love choice.
Ladies be choosing.
Ladies do be choosing. So I get to choose.
They choosing up out here.
What school my child goes to.
As long as it's not a public school.
System.
Or the school gets to choose not to accept children that won't get them high scores.
Some children don't deserve
yeah,
education.
Look, you don't deserve to
just
choose. That's just how it is. And that's sort of so school choice is school, and you might.
Can we? I know this is on. If you're listening to WHIV 102.3 FM, low power FM in New Orleans or wherever you're listening to in the world, you already have like a certain mindset about. I can already guess like the makeup of what you think about charter schools and whatnot. But there was a time not that long ago, like Erin and I don't have kids, but I was like, yeah, school choice would be great. Why should children be stuck going to the bad schools? Shouldn't they have a chance to go the quote unquote
the way out?
I'm making the air quote bad schools. My point is, can we go over for a minute before we zoom on of like why the voucher system's bad, why charter schools are bad, why what we're talking about is bad. I just don't want to like breeze block over that.
So let's just refer back to our conversation that we had last Monday with Lee Barrios, and one that I imagine we will have had yesterday as of the release of this show with Marion Benora and Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, to more people who are running for the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education, who are very, very anti-school reform. Or school reform essentially means the privatization of our education system, which means selling off our schools to charters which don't necessarily have a interest in educating our children any further than they do to maintain contracts which make them money, which creates a completely disparate set of incentives from the public good. And so what it sets the school board in is a sort of like middleman to broker contracts to these, independent, completely unaccountable contractors.
Imagine Martin Shkreli decided that he wanted to get into the school business and was like, all right, I have a school now. Mm. Like, that's essentially what charter schools are. It's like, yeah, there's probably...
I would be surprised if he didn't have one by now.
Well, I think it's because he's in jail.
That's not going to stop him.
Fair. But it's... So, there, and I don't want to, like, paint everything with a broad brush, because there are some really great charter schools out there, I'm sure, that do a good job teaching kids. However...
The vast minority.
And the fact... And, one of the reasons they can be so quote unquote great is that they do have the option of kicking kids out. So if you have a kid who's a disciplinary problem, like air quotes, or a kid that's not scoring well on tests, things like that, it's very easy for them to just kick them out. So of course they're going to score an A grade or whatever BS we do
and
here in
also
Louisiana.
also
because like you just kick all the low scoring kids out.
well, yeah, through your discipline policy that you have in place or whatever that's designed to do just that. And also there is the element of breaking up organized teachers unions that already exist. I know we mentioned on last Monday, and I'm sure we will have mentioned yesterday as of release, the firing of the thousands of of Orleans Parish teachers after Hurricane Katrina, when the privatization process took place in the disaster capitalism after the hurricane. So and the way that collective bargaining occurs with charter schools is that it has to happen individually with each charter school or network of schools. So that's who the contract goes between. It goes between the teachers and the unit. So that really breaks up any kind of organization that happens. It makes things a lot more complicated.
And one of the reasons why, so just here's like a real world example of why that's problematic, is obviously teacher salary, just kind of like living wage, all those things. However, so a lot of these, because there's no kind of like, there's not a union for teachers or anyone who works in the schools to go to.
Oh, there's a union. There is a union. United Teaching New Orleans does exist. It's just difficult to have a contract between the union and all of these different groups. United Teaching New Orleans, I have several friends who've been part of projects that have been engaging in organizing, but it's a very slow process. There are 3 schools in Orleans Parish that have declared unions. One of them is Morris Jefferson. The other is Cog Hill, which actually going through the process of being closed, which means that will be a union school that closes potentially. And the other is Benjamin Franklin, which is an advanced academy, essentially, which you have to test into.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess everyone should probably join that then.
Yeah, right. They have at-large members that are throughout the city, but in order to have like an organized singular entity at a school, it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this with Lee
Barrios.
Barrios.
No relation.
Yeah, I'm not from here, and I just really don't know how to pronounce anything. But if you ever came to Pennsylvania, you would not be able to pronounce anything either. So I don't know. I guess we're even.
I can pronounce Yingling.
How about Conshohocken?
You did.
I pronounced it, but
said.
if you read it, you would not be able to pronounce it. The Schuylkill? Nope. Anyway, that's for our Philly listeners out there.
You are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. This show is Good Morning Comrade. You can check us out online at whivfm.org/listen. Check out our website, goodmorningcomrade.com. So anyway.
Yeah, so we were talking about Lee Barrios and what she was talking about. And one of the points I thought she made that was really great, and I think is a way to really connect with parents and people who don't quite understand why the charter school system is a problem, is that each charter school is essentially on its own when it comes to providing services to kids. So they have to find their own. Yeah, they have to find their own buses. Like they have to have their own contracts with buses. But that also means like for special ed, they have to find like there's not a standardized thing. So it could be in other kind of more unified school districts. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
So there's standardized, and again, I don't work in Orleans, but there is a standardized like federal legislation, there's state legislation, and things like that have like baseline standards, but the implementation is on the schools.
Well, sure. So in a kind of
there's no
more
standardized
connected
implementation
school system.
Mm-hmm.
If a child was very, very special needs, they could place that child at a school that specializes in that.
Right.
And there's a lot more kind of
there's more shared resources and economy of scale.
Yeah. Whereas there just isn't that. And
right.
where that comes into play, so there are schools in New Orleans that don't have social workers,
right.
like that don't have counseling. They have one social worker for, the entire school, probably like 500 kids, which is out of control as far as caseload goes.
Right.
I've heard stories of, and this is not like only one story, but multiple stories of social workers being pressured to not make DCFS reports by their school leadership.
That is so illegal.
So very illegal. And I've heard it multiple times, and it's because you have school administrators, who are not teachers, like who they're like, oh, well, we don't want to ruin rapport. We don't want them to take their kid out, whatever it is, but it's just so bad for the kids, and it's so frustrating.
That kid's rapport is.
I know.
Anyway. So going back to last night's school board meeting, there were several teachers that went up and they went and spoke against this, motion that this school board member was putting forward is a guy named Clay Moyes. And he's a business owner in the area. He's all wrapped up in these, business council, like complete and utter blob hydra. But it was really cool that to see so many of my colleagues go up there. And I actually went up there as well and started talking about so we know what this means. We know who you work for. We know what you're doing. And how you vote on this essentially tells you what side of the fight you're on. And the way that it's organized is that the public comment happens and then the board sort of replies to the comments, which is so cowardly.
That is pretty cowardly.
Yeah. And so about 4 of these members, I can name them off the top of my head. A guy named Billy North, a guy named Mark Morgan, a guy named Larry Dale, are the 3 that come, and Clay Moyes himself. They all said school choice. That means charter schools? I didn't know that. I was just thinking that we would be able to make choices for our schools and doing all this other stuff. And also, we think that you teachers need to get educated on the issues. And that's when I just started screaming from my seat at them, saying you are completely patronizing to us. And then they started firing back with this, if you're really setting a great example for our children. Tone policing stuff.
Oh goodness!
And
wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to show y'all the video, and maybe we can play some audio for the show. But it got super intense, and I was shaking. I was so hot, I was furious because if I talked to my kids the way that they were talking to us, they would come back at me just as hard. And they would be right to do so. Because you don't treat people like garbage. You don't treat people like they don't know anything. You don't treat people like trash. And these people sitting up in their high little, perches with their microphones and with their, elected positions or whatever, they think they can just talk to whoever, however they want and get away with it. If they were sitting right in front of me and they said that, you can imagine what would happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things that it is such a low bar to be in local government. There's in bigger cities, but I know if you're in a smaller town, there's probably 4 people voting. And people routinely win by 1 or 2 votes.
Jefferson Parish is the largest school district in the state of Louisiana. And one of these districts, I think it was District 1 or 3. I think it was 3. But a friend of mine ran, and he lost by 8 votes.
Yeah, so I've just heard so many people talk about how they don't vote, which I really don't understand. But I do understand because they feel like it's futile or whatever. But your vote may or may not matter, kind of on the national level, right? One vote is not going to make or break whether Trump wins, for instance. But one vote really could make or break who's on your local school board. And these are the kind of issues that are actually affected by that. So it's so important to go out and vote, especially for local elections, because you can't, if you're not getting out there and getting your voice heard, you can go to these meetings and things. And we've talked about there's other ways to kind of make your dissent and make your kind of feelings known, but ultimately go to the ballot box.
For anybody who shows up there because they feel that they're protected and they have no consequences that come on to them until the election happens. And then when the election comes around, they're all super nice and sweet, and they're like, "Oh wow, look at how much we do for the community." But in between the times, they're just hammering you with the stick the entire time. So anyway, in addition to what you were saying about, I'm fired up again because I'm reliving it in my brain. But in addition to what you were saying about getting out and voting, in local elections, if you can go canvassing and knocking on doors and actually turn people out to vote for somebody who's actually good, or even you say it's small. Small is a relative thing, but if it's if you need to get 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people to vote for you to win an election, people could run for office in these small places, and it's not absurd to think that just some regular Joe Schmo could win.
Well, that's the thing. So I think the people conflate their cynicism on the national level with their local politics because, it is very frustrating when a candidate for a national election wins because they've, got $1 million, millions of dollars in donations from corporations, or when we have corporations or people, they have just as much of a voice as you. Yeah, it's very easy to be cynical about that. However, that kind of money is not flowing in and out of local elections. Like, yes, there might be some money going and there might be some corruption. And it depends on this.
There is a lot of corruption. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of it going on and happening here as well. The thing is that, people beat money every single time. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
They don't get you don't get so in a sense that money can be used to buy people off, but in the grand scheme of things, if you have people, you can win.
Yeah, it's a lot less money on the local level, and it's a lot easier to counter. And it's also a lot easier to kind of find out. Like, there's everybody knows somebody. Well, it's like there's not going to be super PACs.
Yes, there are. There are PACs
right.
and super PACs. There are that take place at local level, but it's this. What's your point? Yeah, I do take your point.
Counter. So, isn't there? What is that one guy? He's like he has a bunch of shows on, like Sydney something or other.
Sidney Torres. That guy is from Chalmette, and he is the worst.
Yeah, I feel he might have a super PAC, to be honest.
That dude that dude is just absolute garbage, and he's actually kind of a fascist. It's his entire. He's from Chalmette. I'm from Chalmette, and he's just absolute garbage. But he is like the son of a lawyer, and he made like a whole bunch of money with garbage, like just being the big mob boss of garbage. And then he also created an app that would and the garbage thing, and then also like flipping houses and like just basically gentrifying the city. He's the worst person in the world.
Flipping houses.
Ugh, he's trash.
But my favorite thing is this is not my favorite part of the story, but he bought the Circle grocery store, which is like really upsetting because like that was like a needed. Anyway, it's a needed grocery store in a neighborhood that doesn't have any grocery stores.
Yeah, why is the Circle grocery store a big deal?
So it was a grocery store. Yeah, it's right in the middle of the Treme, like right on the edges of like the Bywater. There's not a ton. There's a Robert's now, which is like very helpful to the community. I get lunch there all the time. I'm a hypocrite,
it's an expensive store.
It's an expensive
where
grocery
you should get
store.
Discounts, right?
Where I should be getting discounts because. Side note. A cop in front of me today at Robert's got a 10% discount as a thank you for his service. And I was like, excuse you, I should also get a 10% discount.
That goes back to the class above stuff that we were talking about before, too.
I was very upset about it. And to be honest, I feel like he was like a state trooper. And I was like, come on, man. I was like...
You're just a traffic cop.
And also,
right.
The Circle grocery store, it flooded after Katrina, and it was owned by a family, and they tried their best to like keep it going, but they just couldn't. They couldn't afford it, so that's why it got sold to
Sidney Torres, which is where my favorite part of the story comes in because none of that was actually good things. But as soon as he bought it, someone climbed up. It's a very beautiful building, and they have like kind of a steeple at the top, almost, or like a clock tower almost.
It's a circle.
Yeah,
iconic.
and someone just clearly
building.
climbed up there and just spray painted F Sidney Torres, and it was there for everyone on I-10 to see, and I very much enjoyed it until it got painted over. And I'm just, if anybody felt like doing that again, that'd be cool.
I mean, look, like if you're listening again, this goes back to my thing of look, Erin and I have these conversations all the time about different stuff, and I always I rant at her and I say, well, you gotta like read the room, you gotta know your audience. So if it's somebody, we're talking about people getting out to vote, like we have a lot early voting's going on right now in New Orleans. You should definitely go vote.
You do get stickers.
It takes 10 minutes of your day. There's actually free parking in front of City Hall, so you can go there and do it.
They won't give you a ticket?
No. They shut off the meters for early voting.
It's almost like it's a Saints game, but it's just voting.
I know. But the people who, if you're listening to this show, you're into this show, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in the country, you have some kind of like political education. We might not have exactly the same praxis, but you have some kind of political education. Now, if somebody who is on the grind every day, somebody's working 40 plus hours a week, just trying to make it day to day, they don't vote because they say they don't have time. They're not educated on the issues. That is a failing of people like us who need to go out.
What a perfect angel. What a perfect angel.
There he goes.
He's protecting us all right now and also voicing his ardent support in the idea of voting.
I love how you can make dog barks, You always make the dog bark. Say whatever you want to say. It's crazy.
That's because I'm.
All right.
psychic.
Thank you, Pete. Shut the door.
Anyway, so voting.
But
No tickets
so the guy
at City Hall.
no tickets. So if you are out there working, 40 plus hours a week, and you're not educated on these issues, and you don't vote, and you have a very cynical view of voting, that is a failure on people like us. Like people like us should be reaching out to our neighbors and letting them know why local elections matter so much. It matters more than local and state elections matter way more than national elections. But if you're listening to this show and you don't vote, and this goes to a lot of my friends too, I really just want to hit you with the bat. Like, I really don't
Whoa.
I mean, it's as serious as I can be. Even if you are the most...
All right, I'm going to vote. Okay, fine.
You're the most, militant... You're the most militant person, and you are like, voting is a bourgeoisie act, and nothing good ever comes from it. You are... The reason why nothing good ever comes from it is because you're conceding ground to people who are not going to let anything good come out of the government. So why would you concede that ground? Why would you concede that ground to them? It literally takes you 5-10 minutes out of your day to go vote, and something good might happen. If you don't vote, for sure, something bad is going to happen. It's the biggest return on your investment as a citizen.
No investment,
You
you
have.
mean? No
yeah,
investment?
of no investment. Yeah, of 5 to 10 minutes of waiting in line, maybe.
And
if
your
you
job
can't just
has to let you go.
Yeah,
Like,
that-
it is
that's
a
a
lot.
true thing.
I know it's very frustrating because I think a lot of times bosses are not willing. They're just,
That is the true thing.
but they have
You're saying
to.
that bosses are bad?
I'm just saying, I'm not saying all bosses. Hashtag not all
Oh,
bosses.
all bosses. Every
but
single
some
one.
bosses, some are pretty bad. Some middle management is not out. They're not there for your best interests. I know this might be shocking
But
to anyone listening.
If
but
you're living in wherever city you're living in, especially if you're listening to us local here in New Orleans or Louisiana, and only election you vote in, if that, is the national election every 4 years, you're dead wrong. You need to be voting in every single stupid little piddly election, because these are the ones that decide who your dog catcher is, how the streets get paved, if the potholes get paved at all.
They don't.
And these are the things that actually are going to have material benefit of your life. And again, if you're not taking that little bit of time on such a huge return on investment and just conceding this space of electoral politics, no matter how you might think about it, to bad people. Like, even if the person I had this talk with the host, Don P of the Morning Brew, the guy the show before us. We were talking in the studio last week.
Happy birthday, Don P.
And I was like, even if this isn't like placing a bet on a roulette wheel, or like, going out to Mississippi and putting on $100 in a sports book on the Saints. I go, even if the candidate that you vote for loses, you personally have lost nothing. This isn't like something that you need to. I mean, yeah, a bad person got elected, and yeah, you're going to feel it that way. But what I'm trying to say is, like, there's no downside for you going to vote.
And one of the upsides is, if you are a Karen at heart like me, there is nothing
You're
better.
a Karen.
Karen, like the bad kind.
Hold on. Let's say caring Karen.
Oh, Karen.
All right.
I like that. Oh, all right. I am a caring Karen here.
Real quick, you're listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is Good Morning Comrade. Caring Karen. Go on.
If you're a caring Karen like me, and you like to go speak to your elected representatives, which means you're probably a white woman, because I feel like no one else does that. But it's so
Depends on who
satisfying to be able to say, I vote. I vote in every election, which I do. And
You can
again,
lie to them too, though.
No, but people can see what elections you voted in. There's like a
very
voter
true.
That is
register.
true.
It's all a public record.
And
yeah.
so if they ever look up my name, if they look up Erin Huggins, they're gonna be like, "Damn, she votes in everything." I vote because I really don't understand it, because like here in Louisiana we vote like all the time. Like we have at least 5
There's always
elections
an
a year.
election.
Like, that's not an exaggeration. Like,
I know
we vote on
there's
single amendments.
in Louisiana. There's stuff
We
that's
often have
based
ones that
around
are in
Mardi
like
Gras.
March and stuff. Yeah.
There's stuff that's because you don't want to have something running concurrent with Mardi Gras, but that's also part of the hustle. That's part of the game. That's part of like slam so much down your gullet to where it's just like, oh, forget it. I'm not doing this. And then that's when like
you tap out.
That's when like the terrible state amendment comes in. That's like takes your jewel pot away. And you're like, what happened? What happened to Vape Nation, bro? It's like, you didn't vote, bro. Like, that's what happened.
Wow, Robert is
You can take the jewel
throwing
pod
down
from
the
my.
gauntlet.
You can take the jewel pod from my
smokers.
cold
No, it
dead
just
hands.
really makes me angry. Like,
does, I know.
I have a certain like level of anger. Like, I have certain pyramids of anger for this. And like I said, the people who don't vote because they're uneducated, they have never been educated. They feel like they feel rightly that they're marginalized from society. That's our failing. I'm mad because we don't talk to our neighbors. So that's on us, mad at myself. Second level is all the like phony revolutionaries out there who are like stroking their Marx beard and they're like, oh, voting, man, it's bourgeoisie act. I'm just gonna sit right here and drink my LaCroix.
Actually, Lenin never voted, man.
I don't want to hear that. Like that's
he was
ridiculous.
in the
So,
legislature of the Soviets.
I feel like that
super
might
angry.
be our base, though.
no, not at all.
No.
See, and then I have okay. Let me back that up. So, the pyramid step after that is the people I'm not angry with. I'm sorry, or the people who are like, I'm a revolutionary Marxist-Leninist, and I'm like,
And I vote.
like,
I want a
we're-
bumper sticker that says I'm a revolutionary Marxist-Leninist
I'm
and I
preparing
vote.
I'm preparing for societal breakdown, and we're going to take care of our neighbors, and we're putting in the work. We're going to buy a.
No, that's more syndicalist stuff, right?
Excuse me, no, but we're going to buy a plot of land, and
Yeah,
we're
totally
getting guns,
syndicalist.
food, and ammo ready. I'm like, cool. I like that because you have action. Take 5 minutes from prepping, and just go press your button real quick, and you can get back to prepping. I'm not mad at you.
Take
though.
a break from target practice.
Right, and you can go back to prepping because I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. And then after that are the coffee shop Marxists, and then after that are like the bourgeoisie. Like
We're just gonna run
it's the
everybody down today.
It's the bourgeoisie people who are just
levels.
like, I don't like to get involved in politics.
So is
Like,
that the
everything's
very
fine.
like? Okay,
You mean the
so is that
academics?
you're most angry at?
yeah, like
tip of your
the
angry
bourgeois people are
pyramid?
just like, I just don't want to talk about politics. Like that
That's
kind
more
of
like
person.
liberals, though,
like
right?
yeah, liberals.
That's like
There's tons of liberals who don't vote.
Oh yeah,
And they're just like, I don't have time. I had to
That's
drag.
the
I had to
liberal
drag
college
my dad.
professor type.
One of my dad's personal friends. I totally remember this. She was a member of the Sierra Club, and she was running for something. And
She didn't even vote for herself.
and
man.
I went and voted, and so I went and vote, and so my dad's name and my name would be right next to each other. And I see this guy hadn't voted. I literally had to like shame him into go vote for his own friend. And I'm like, what? It's just like, just go hit the button. I don't understand. There's not this like, you are not doing the labors of Hercules, just hitting the button. You're not. I don't understand what is this thing. And for the people who do have to do the labors of Hercules because their district is gerrymandered, they don't have transportation, they have to do stupid ID laws, all voter disenfranchisement. That's what we need to do. That we need to fight that, and we need to get those people to the whole polls and get them what they need. But for the person who can't go 2 minutes down the block and go vote at the church, and then it's gonna be like, I just don't know about all this politics, and they're gonna complain about it with potholes in the street.
So I'm not trying to shame anyone who's listening to us, but I am getting married on election day this year. And so I made sure to early vote because I care about democracy, and I made time out of my busy day to go vote. And so I'm saying.
So y'all are leaving town that weekend, and Kimberly's leaving town that weekend. I'm gonna be alone by myself. What am I gonna do?
So prepare yourselves for some drunken rants on education policy. We're excited.
You hate to
Can't
see
wait
it.
to hear it. Love to see it. I just feel like so I'm obviously the only woman here. And I feel like on one hand, I live with Robert and hear a lot of rants about his anger at centrists and also his love of dead malls and vaporwave, which we talked about in the
We
last
should talk about that
episode.
because Scott's not here.
I know. And then I have on the other hand, Jeff, who I really only see for podcast and radio show reasons, but definitely a lot of rants on education policy. It's a lot of male ranting.
What do you want?
Well, why don't you rant?
Oh, you want to talk about dead malls? You know, we got one up by the airport, right?
No, I know. No,
and it's
we've
got
had
an
this
ice skating
conversation.
rink in it. It's
Which
so
one?
weird.
Which one's dead by the way?
It's that
Not
the
Esplanade.
gallery. Yeah, the Esplanade. It's got a weird ice skating rink. Not in the middle of the mall, but like in
I used
one of
to
the
work there.
stores. No, it's dead. That's why I had to go
Oh,
get.
are you talking about the Mervins?
No, it's the Esplanade. Seriously.
No. The Mervins was in Esplanade. Was that where the ice skating rink was?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I had to go
I
to
don't know
Lens
about that.
Crafters, and the lady even said, like, the Lens Crafters lady's like, "We're moving out of here. We're going to Lakeshore."
Lakeside.
Or like whatever.
Lakeside.
Nobody knows. Nobody cares. But she's like, yeah, it's like one more store. It's like dead. I was like, man, dead malls are fascinating.
Press F to pay respects for the mall.
I mean, I don't know. Dead malls make me sad. I feel like I said this last time. But yeah, Robert really likes them for some reason. I don't know.
Dead malls don't vote, man. I don't
Dead
care
malls
about
don't
them.
vote. They don't.
I like them
Don't
because
be like a
they're
dead mall. Go vote.
there's just like a monument to failed capitalism. Like it's like it's a weird time capsule.
Well, and plus it's space that doesn't get filled at all. It's just like not even necessarily saying it could be housing, but it could be something. You know, it definitely could be housing, or it could be something where someone lives, or it could be anything. But we just decided that, you know what? We're just going to let it be abandoned.
Let's just let it go back to the earth.
Right.
Let's just let the earth take it. See what happens when the aliens come in 100 years.
That's one of those things that really kind of blows me away with how, like, Charity Hospital, right? Charity Hospital is a hospital in New Orleans that was essentially like one that people could go to if they didn't have the money to have.
It's essentially like it's our safety. It was our safety net.
Yeah,
hospital.
it was a safety net hospital, and since the storm, really, it has just been a giant building in the middle of the city that does nothing. It's just a complete and utter.
Which is kind of insane.
Yeah,
Like, how is that not gentrified by now? How has somebody not bought that?
Well,
Someone has.
who owns it now?
I don't know who owns it, but they have plans for it. Like,
Yeah,
there's like things.
I was talking to somebody. I was actually worked at tailgate right before the Saints game on Sunday. Saints won, by the way. It was a Dallas Cowboys fans tailgate,
right.
and I was like making them drinks the whole
Robert's
time. I was making drinks the whole time, and these people were kind of talking trash, and I was just like, okay, fine, whatever. And the Saints won, and I made $250, so that's pretty dope.
What'd you bet?
Huh?
What are you talking about?
No, I'm pouring the drinks. That's the tip
Oh,
that I made.
I was about to say I made like $25 betting my online poker money through Bovada.
Whoa, how do you play online? Okay, we'll talk about it this after.
What do you mean how?
Wait, okay, we'll talk about it after.
What do you mean why?
All right, fine. What sites run online poker
Bovada.
these days? Okay,
Like Bovada had like you just.
I don't know these things,
My
man.
dude,
I
they
used to play
accept,
on.
accept U.S.
I used to play back in the party poker days, but
Oh, that's forever.
not
ago.
party poker. Poker
Party
stars. Poker stars.
Yeah, but they don't
And
care.
full tilt.
Well, their thing is like this: like, oh, poker's banned in the U.S. except for a couple interstate rooms.
Like, yeah.
like New Jersey has one, Nevada has one.
I think,
but they're just like Bovada just put a flag in the. I mean, they put their flag down and just said we down here.
We're running out of here.
Gullah Gullah Island. Like, who gonna stop me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, not literally Gullah Gullah Island's in the United States, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Gullah Gullah Island was a TV show.
yeah, it's in
My sister was
South
so
Carolina.
into
It's on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, it's a real place.
Gullah Gullah Island. Gullah Gullah.
Yeah, that was
Gullah
a-
Gullah.
That was a bad joke because that actually is a real place in South Carolina. But I'm like,
Now,
we down here in whatever, man.
Is that where that racist theme park was? Is that in South Carolina
No.
too?
Well,
Yes, it is.
oh, on the border or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like the existence of Gullah Island. Is it Gullah Gullah
Is
Island?
Gullah
Gullah
Gullah,
Gullah,
Island on the,
yeah.
is Gullah Gullah Island on the border?
No,
No.
it's not. Nowhere near south of the border. And
the
the
border.
existence of Gullah Gullah Island does not negate any of the other racist nonsense of South Carolina. But please.
There's good stuff in South Carolina too.
But I mean, they literally Bovada just called the United States government bluff. Be like, okay, it's illegal.
Do something.
We're down here out of your jurisdiction. Do something. What are you gonna do? Nothing.
I gotta appreciate that kind of moxie.
Yeah.
I do too.
I mean, your payout might be. I would never. I've only, to be honest, like for
You're not
online
putting
poker-
your life savings over
Yeah, like I would as soon if I got my little like I think I got like $75 in there right now. If I got that up to like 300-400, I'm cashing out. Like, I'm not putting in. I'm not. Oh no. That was a thing with. And now we're just on like illegal gambling chat. That was the thing with.
I love it.
With you said poker.
Stick it to capitalism.
You said Poker
Gamble
Stars.
illegally.
Poker Stars.
When Poker Stars was
just
cheating and they had the
No,
whole.
that was Absolute Poker.
Absolute, but no, there
And
was some
Full
Phil
Tilt.
Ivey foolishness
Full
on tilt.
No.
Full tilt. Somebody was cheating.
No, it was Absolute Poker, and it was not Full Tilt. It was
I think it was Full Tilt. Who sponsored Phil Ivey back in the day? It was Full Tilt.
It was a group. So you're listening to WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. No, it was not. I'm googling it right.
But anyway,
now.
the point is, these jokers were sitting there with literally like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you can like look at. You could see the whole cards
on an offshore
account
/ maybe a bank. I don't know. And Black Friday came, which Black Friday was when the United States government said no more. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
Bill
no
Frist.
No more online poker. Get out of here. And people were like, where's my money? And they're like, oh, and it's gone. Like, why did you have that much money in such a shady thing anyway? Like, what were you doing?
Ultimate Bet. That's the one.
Oh, yeah. Ultimate Bet was, who's to sponsor him? The Fossil Man guy. Like, that's who.
The Fossil Man?
Yeah. The guy.
I don't know, man. They had a lot. Man.
The guy who wore the stupid.
Yeah,
like,
I know who you're talking
crocodile.
about, Kramer. But, like, the Raymer. The thing about and now we're really kind of going into a corner here. Like, Erin is totally uninterested.
Who cares?
But there was a time, and it was so strange. No, you're fine to be uninterested. You're right to be uninterested.
It was on Facebook.
But like there was a time from like 2004 or so, or 2003 until like 2008 where poker was popular and cards was popular, and it was so stupid.
It was so stupid. Yeah, so many people thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna
look at that! I'm gonna become a millionaire by going to play cards."
I had that dream where I was just gonna be a professional poker player. I used to play live. Like I used to play like 8 hours a day, like live poker at a casino. Trying to be a professional. I mean, I was all right. I was good enough to where I lost money slowly. Which is pretty good.
I was like, man, I bet I went all in with top pair, and he had top pair better kicker. I can't believe he called me. What a loser!
That's the thing. But man, yeah, it's apparently poker's making a comeback though. But
do we need a return of the very misanthropic white man, but like,
well, yeah,
gains his redemption via gambling?
That was the best.
Movies?
That
because
was, yeah.
Talking about Rounders.
I am talking about Rounders.
I love Rounders.
Talking about Rounders.
So good.
Remake?
Matt Damon. That movie was so
Essentially?
insane because Edward Norton was just the biggest dummy in the world because he just constantly cheated, and Matt Damon was just like always running around like trying to cover him up, like trying to like make sure his friend doesn't get killed.
That's the point of that story. Like if you ever seen that movie, like everybody, there's 3 good characters in that whole movie, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 people who are.
Are they all Teddy KGB because that's the best character in the world?
There's only 3 people you should root for. There's I think her name is Catherine Mole or whatever. I don't know what she did. The cute blonde was his girlfriend who immediately was,
get out of here.
I'm gone.
Get out of here.
I'm leaving. This is crazy. She's like, no way.
You just lost 30,000.
She just didn't support his dreams.
Yeah.
Okay, real women support.
You just lost $300,000 of our money while we're law students.
Well, to be honest, that was his money. That had nothing to do with her. They made that very clear.
Okay.
It was though. That was his money he was saving. Had nothing to do with her. It's not like that money was going in. That money was in a cigar box.
He worked really hard for that money. She didn't do anything. She just stayed at home.
No, she didn't. She was a law student.
I don't actually remember anything about.
Yeah, I know. So what are you talking about?
They were both law students.
So she's a good person. The judge, Miranowski, I think his name was.
It was Martin Landau.
Where Matt Damon's like, I need $30,000 tonight.
Right now.
And he's just like, what? What?
And then he gives it to him.
He goes, if it must be tonight, I can give you 20.
Yeah.
and then Kanish, was the best.
Well, he was always like, well, no.
That's what's his name? Who's in terrible movies now? Who used to be in good movies? John Turturro.
John Turturro.
Because his whole thing was he was like, oh man, I'm in deep with the worst guy, with the worst Russian mob guy. He's like
Teddy KGB.
He's like, didn't I teach
John
you better
Malkovich.
than this? He's like, you don't have the stones, man. You don't have the stones to make a play. And he goes, let me tell you about stones. He goes, I got alimony, rent. My kids eat. He goes, I don't chase dreams in the World Series of poker.
I play for money.
I play for money. I play for keeps. He's the hero, so those are the only three good characters.
No, Teddy KGB is great.
I mean, as far as like who you should root for.
I rooted for Teddy KGB the entire time because all he did.
Your boy's in it. Your boy from that one movie you like, Invincible. The guy who owns the bar, who's in every Philly thing, who's like, hey, don't be peeing on the corner.
Oh, yeah.
He's a gangster in that movie. He's a low rank gangster. His name is
Stretch.
His name is Grandma.
Yeah, that's right.
Grandma. He's like, how much do you owe to Grandma?
That was also Famke Jensen was in that movie.
Oh, was
too.
she?
It's just so funny. It's like these like movies that are touchstones for like
And Rounders came before the poker explosion too.
Go ahead, Erin. I got a story.
No,
about
but
that.
just like these I'm always like, oh, I watch these and I'm like, oh, giant red flags. Like what to look for in potential romantic partners.
It wasn't red enough apparently. Y'all are getting married this weekend.
That's 100% right. No,
well,
you're
I
100% right.
Still like Rounders.
No, I still love that movie, but I'm not like don't own a copy of it or the poster, and I'm like, ooh, this is a good thing to try to model your life after.
This Swingers and Reservoir Dogs.
You're 100% right.
No, I mean, like we've talked about this. We said it even on the podcast. I'm like a dude who's too into Clockwork Orange. I'm like,
ooh, that's a tough one.
I needed a restraining order just preemptively.
Ooh.
Rounders obviously isn't that bad, but like my
It's pretty
hatred of
bad.
Quentin Tarantino. Like if you're too into Kill Bill, I'm like I have feelings about it.
I have feelings just about your taste. Because
I mean, to be fair, I have seen What a Girl Wants with Amanda Bynes like
that's
12
fine.
times.
I'm okay with that. Because here's the thing.
I'm really not the media critic that y'all should be looking to.
You're giving yourself. You're not giving yourself enough credit. You know exactly what that is. When somebody's going to sit here and tell me, I'm like, oh, it's Kill Bill, it's Pulp Fiction, whatever.
Reservoir Dogs.
I'm like, those are fine. Yeah, I like those. But somebody's like, Quentin Tarantino's the most innovative genius director. I'm like, he was an employee at Blockbuster Video, shout out like for all people who have a dream. But he watched a lot of old blaxploitation movies and then just remade those movies. That's not a genius move. You're not reinventing the wheel.
So let me push back in a sense. So he's not a genius, of course.
But that's what people.
But like, in a sense, also, like any innovation is always based off of things that have previously existed.
But that's fine. But those things aren't even from like. Okay, so there's cinemaphiles, which I would count myself as one, like a pretentious cinemaphile who can say that and like.
You're pretentious, all right.
I like this for what it is.
I'm just kidding.
But then like normies. To normie like movie people, they think it's so artsy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
they
I
think
know
it's
exactly
like the height of high art, and I'm like, that's a trash movie for trash people.
Yeah, it's not like the Joker. The Joker, is
which I'm going
art.
to see. Actually, I had a whole rant about this today with Erin. I was like, I didn't know it was.
True.
It's actually a reimagining, a homage, a remake, whatever you want to call it, to Martin Scorsese's The King of Comedy.
Which I just don't understand. Why don't you just watch that movie?
Because I actually do want to see this Joker movie. Like, I'm going to watch it. It's going to be good.
I never watch movies anymore. I just don't do it.
Again, I'm not one to sit here. I really don't.
I would have watched it today if I had time.
I don't care for movies.
I
like.
Are you watching it before or after the wedding? The same seven. What are the seven? What are the seven? What are the seven?
It's What a Girl Wants. It's Ever After with Drew Barrymore. Okay, it's Gosford Park. It's Legally Blonde. And I know this is very, very surprising for me. Boondock Saints. Love it.
Wow, that's a red flag movie.
See, that's one of those.
That's a red flag
One
movie.
of those
It is. And so maybe he should be taking note about me.
No.
Yeah,
just
wow.
have your
There's still time for
taste.
both of y'all to get out.
Taste is bad.
I know. I mean,
I'm more concerned about the Boondock Saints like than any of those other
it's
movies
because
you listed.
the Irish have been kept down for too long, and
Trash.
no, I'm just kidding. I really
seen-
liked that movie in college.
Have
And
you
I
seen?
also really liked Snatch for some reason too.
Snatch
I
is
like a
alright.
lot of really terrible bro movies, but I think the difference.
No, bro movies are fine.
Bro, that's the thing. It makes me so mad when someone takes a movie that is clearly just a bro movie, and then tries to like say that it is high art.
They
and I'm
imbue
like,
it
it
with-
is not.
yeah.
And I feel like people
Wow,
do this
thanks for saying what I just said.
in a more pleasant tone.
That's exactly what I said.
She said it nice.
I am just okay. So what you're going to find out when this podcast concludes is that it's just been an elaborate thought experiment about what if I treated you like men treat women.
Whoa. Karen's planning.
Yeah, no. So please listen to my opinion.
Robert
that is not fully formed.
Furious right now.
I
On
didn't know.
movies
I just
that
don't
you
even know
like.
what that means. So
No. So it's just so frustrating to me, like movies in general and books too. It's like all these things that are supposed to be, and books I guess are different. They can be an art form too, and movies can as well.
Anything
But
to be an art
so
form.
many things are just entertainment. Like novels started out as movies before there were movies, essentially.
Movies that you read.
Movies that you read, but it's this thing that like you can't just
They're plays.
accept
I mean,
things
plays were
for
a
what they
thing.
are. It's frustrating.
have you seen In the Name of the Father with I can't think of his name, but the guy who used to play in the Highlander TV show? It's about IRA assassin guy like trying to get out of the game. Like you should watch that.
I'm not, but callback from another. That was one of the guys who played Jerry Adams on the BBC. Like, actually, like did the voice of Jerry Adams, who
It
was
was a
the
long
the
game.
president
That
of
was a
the.
really long
Y'all
callback.
have to. This is an. It was.
You
An
talking about the guy from the Highlanders TV show?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
I can't think of his name, but keep going. I'm gonna look it up right now.
We talked about many episodes ago about Jerry Adams, who was the president of the IRA, who wasn't allowed to speak on the BBC because apparently, like, I don't know, that's weird. So they would like dub over with other voices, and I'm like pretty sure the actor from that was one of the.
Adrian Paul was his name.
I'm almost
Adrian
100% positive.
If I showed you a picture, do you want to see a picture
Adrian
now or see a
Paul.
picture like in the 90s?
In the 90s.
Anyway, well, you can listen to us every Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning on WHIV LP New Orleans. You can also check us out on our website, goodmorningcomrade.com. Check us out on WHIVFM.org/good-morning-comrade. Listen to us this Monday. Actually, so yeah, we're gonna be going, I think, and through the runoffs. I just have to double check with Mark Allen on that, but excuse me. We have been running on Mondays, having very special guests. Like we say, we have Shanta Wyatt and Mary Minora coming on yesterday. We're gonna have those posted up on our website really soon if they're not already. You can also check out goodmorningcomrade.com if you want to be a part of the show. Send us an email, contact@goodmorningcomrade.com, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter @Comrade Morning.
And in case any of you were waiting on bated breath, I think I was incorrect about that last thing I just said.
Unbelievable. First time for everything.
Sorry, fake
You should
news.
watch Highlander TV show. You should watch that. That's the moral of the story.
All right. Well, anyway, love you. Bye.
Pull up on you.